Imagine getting married when your family had nothing. No money for a dress, no money for a ring, no money for a cake, just love, and a community that refused to let that love go uncelebrated. During the Great Depression, couples found a way to say "I do," even when the world was falling apart. This is the story of how they danced, how they loved, and how they built a life together with absolutely nothing. The Great Depression hit in 1929 and lasted over a decade. 25% of Americans were unemployed. Families lost their homes, their farms, everything. But love didn't stop. Young couples still wanted to get married. They just had to do it differently. Instead of churches, they married in backyards. Instead of buying a dress, the bride wore her mother's or sewed one herself from flour sacks. The groom, he wore his Sunday best, the only suit he owned. There were no invitations, no caterers, no photographers, just family, neighbors, and whatever food people could spare.
Here's the most beautiful tradition of all, the Appalachian stacked cake. Since couples couldn't afford a wedding cake, the community made one together. Each guest baked a single cake layer at home and brought it to the wedding. The bride's mother would stack them high, spreading homemade dried apple filling between each layer. Some cakes had 5 layers, some had 12. The more layers you had, the more loved you were. It wasn't just a cake, it was a tower of community love, a physical reminder that you were never alone, even in the hardest times. After the ceremony, after the cake, came the moment everyone waited for, the first dance. There was no DJ, no playlist, no dance floor rental. Instead, someone in the community, usually an uncle or neighbor, would pull out a fiddle, a banjo, or a guitar and play a waltz. The newlyweds would step into the center of the yard, surrounded by their loved ones, and dance. The bride's dress, often handmade from flour sacks, would spin gently in the breeze. The groom, nervous but smiling, would hold her close, as if she were the only thing in the world that mattered. And for those 3 minutes, there was no depression, no poverty, no fear. Just 2 people, dancing under the open sky, promising to face whatever came next, together. After the first dance, it was time to eat. But this wasn't a catered meal. This was a potluck. Every family brought what they could spare. Fried chicken, if they had it. Biscuits and gravy, soup beans, cornbread, pickled vegetables from last summer's garden. It wasn't fancy, but it was enough. And after everyone ate, the real party began. The fiddle player would pick up the tempo, and suddenly, everyone was dancing. Grandparents, children, neighbors, friends. They danced square dances. They danced jigs. They stomped their feet and clapped their hands and forgot, for just a little while, how hard life had become. One bride from that era, a woman named Ruth, wrote this in her diary on her wedding day in 1933. We had no money, no gifts, no honeymoon, but we loved each other. When I looked around that yard, I saw 30 people who loved us. They baked, they played music, they danced with us, and I realized we are the richest people alive. Ruth and her husband stayed married for 62 years. They raised 5 children. They survived the Depression, they survived World War II, and every single anniversary, they would waltz together in their living room, just like they did on that dirt floor in 1933. That's the power of a love that wasn't built on money, but on community, resilience, and hope. Today, the average wedding costs over $30,000. But during the Great Depression, couples got married with nothing and somehow created something unforgettable. These traditions, the stacked cake, the first dance in the yard, the community coming together, they're disappearing, but we're keeping them alive right here. If your grandmother or great-grandmother got married during this era, leave a comment. Tell us her story. And if this touched your heart, share it with someone who remembers.